Hey guys, I am MG, and I'll be reviewing a film that is kind of disappointing, and that film is The Lost World Jurassic Park, which is a 1997 American science fiction action film that was directed by returning director Steven Spielberg and written by returning writer David Coeb. It's also loosely based on the 1995 novel with the same name, and is about Malcolm going back to deal with dinosaurs. However, why don't we stop stalling and start reviewing right now? This film is very boring for the majority of a runtime, and it doesn't even come close to capturing the same charm as the original. With that said, this film has some decent stuff. The effects look just as outstanding as before, and they show up a little more often, which is always appreciated. The movie does a pretty solid job of expanding the universe, with Isla Sorna and the new dinosaurs being cool additions. The death scenes are pretty satisfying, with my favorite being Eddie's death. The action scenes were pretty well done, and occasionally creative to some extent, and fun as well, with a standout being the T-Rex destroying San Diego, which was really enjoyable, and so were the other set pieces. The music by John Williams was pretty good, even if it is severely lackluster, but oh well. I like the return of the old actors, like Jeff Goldblum and Richard Attenborough. They weren't as good as before, but still mildly decent. Julianne Moore and Pete Postlethwaite was alright as well, but everyone else was kind of forgettable. I like the darker tone, even though it's not that scary, other than the action. There were a couple of funny moments, like the raptor going through the window after Malcolm locks himself inside, or when people listen to Nick and not the villain, which was pretty funny. But I don't think I have anything else to compliment about this film, because it is just so tedious and the characters are so boring. The characters were kind of a weak spot in the original, but they're not poorly written, and there were a few fun ones, like Dennis Nedry. But with this, there is practically no one else who's intimidating or memorable in the slightest. I think the only one I'm mildly intrigued by is Eddie, because I liked how he tried to save his friends, and he has a pretty cool death scene, but everyone else is just so standard and even dumb in some cases. Ian Malcolm is a completely unengaging protagonist who has lost all of his charm from the first film, and Jeff Goldblum is noticeably weaker as well. And I don't care for his family struggles either. They're just there to pad out the runtime as long as it is. That is forgotten about entirely by the end, so that was pointless. And his family is so poorly written. Sarah was kinda dumb, and Kathy doesn't add anything to the narrative. The villain was lame, and everyone else was lame. That's all I got. The pacing is a complete slog with an overly stretched runtime, filled with bland filler that isn't magical, just empty. But the climax feels a little rushed for some reason, and I wanted to see more destruction in San Diego, since that was my favorite part of the film. And the plot is the exact same. The characters are stuck on the island and need to get out. In fact, this is a movie I would call a complete rehash. Because if you take away the climax, then it's basically the exact same as the first. But this time, it doesn't offer that much, and the only highlights are the action or death scenes. Yippee! I'm so happy. And the boat plot hole is very dumb, since there's no way in hell the T-Rex could have killed the crew while it was locked in a cage. And there was this character development for Malcolm that I did not even notice, and only found it out on the internet. But anyway, it was very not good for whatever was shown, because I didn't see it, and I probably won't see it in the future. In fact, that's my summary of this film. I don't think I'll watch it again. It's not a bad film per se, but the fact that Steven Spielberg, the director of the first film, completely slips the magical wonder of the original is kind of ridiculous. Especially when this film released 4 years after the original. So if you want to watch it, then go ahead, but don't expect something with the same quality as the first. Otherwise, you'll be let down and extremely disappointed. 5.4 out of 10. Goodbye everyone, and thank you for watching. Bye.